Have you ever thought to yourself, is this it? When you look at your life, have you ever questioned your purpose or this current version of yourself? In today's video, I want to have a real, raw, honest conversation about if it's too late to create a new version of yourself. Whether you are pivoting into a new career, whether you are trying to find your voice or find yourself, or whether you're just simply asking, what's next? This is the video for you. Hey! Hi everyone, my name is Monica. Welcome to Monica J Sutton Daily. This is my space on the internet, on YouTube, where I get to have real conversations with you. I get to share my entrepreneurial adventures and a little bit of my daily life. So if any of that is of interest to you, like today's topic, then you are definitely in the right place. And I want to just say welcome to everyone who is new here. If this is your first time catching one of my videos, welcome. And for everyone who's returning, welcome back. And I thank all of you for spending time with me, for having this conversation with me. I really see these conversations as two-way conversations. So I am excited about today's topic. It is, to me, it's a heavy topic, but it's one that I think we should have more conversations about. And so I'm really happy that you're here and that this is something that interests you. So let's talk. Let's get into it. Are you ready? Let's get into it. I recently had a really quiet moment to myself where I was thinking about the current version of self. And I was questioning my purpose. I was questioning if I'm doing enough towards my purpose here on this earth, because I feel like I'm very comfortable with what my purpose is. I know what I am supposed to be doing. I know what my mission is, especially when it comes to creating children's content, early education, being an educator for 21 years. Like, I know what purpose I serve in that field and with the things I do currently with this version of self. But I've been asking myself, I've been questioning, is there more? What's next? And is it too late to add on to who I already am? And that's the question I want to really answer. Is it too late to create a new version of self? And that could just mean adding on to who you are already. And so that's really what I want to talk about. In case you didn't know, I actually have created a preschool show for children. It's called Circle Time with Miss Monica, and you can check that out over on my other YouTube channel called Miss Monica, or that the handle is Monica J Sutton without the daily. And I created a preschool show. I'm an educator for 21 years, and I am so sure about what I'm supposed to be doing over there. However, with the work I've been doing over the last, I would say, 12 years. I mean, I've been an educator for over 20 years, but with the work I've been doing online for the last 12, 13 years, I feel like I've really put myself in this category, and sometimes I feel pigeonholed, but I put myself in this category of content creator or children's content creator, educator, right? And sometimes it's hard to see yourself outside of that when that has been what you've known, what you've done, how people meet you, what people know you for. To see yourself outside of that sometimes can be a little difficult. And so I think that's where the questioning and this question of, is it too late to create a new version of myself? I think that's where that question comes from. And okay, let's keep the conversation going. I just had to shift a little bit and get a little more comfortable. But I recently went to a couple of events in New York City and within the last month or two, and they really helped me to answer this question for myself, really helped me to look at myself and look at life differently and change my perspective on some things. And they were really great events, and I want to share some of the takeaways that I got from those events. But something else that even before we think about recreating a new version of ourselves, I think it's really important to also realize and give yourself permission to shed the old you, to say goodbye to the old you. It's okay to grieve the old life or the old you, your old life or the old version of you. It is okay to shed that and to also grieve it. I had a conversation with my therapist one time about grieving your old life or your old self, right? And that's all wrapped up into within one another, right? Old self, old life, it's all wrapped up in one. But she made it clear to me, because I had never thought about it in this way, but she made it clear to me that when you grow and you continuously evolve, you are grieving your old life. You are saying goodbye to that old life. And depending on how big or how grand your growth and your evolution is, you have a lot to say goodbye to. There is a lot that is changing. And when you feel that uncomfort and that newness of what you're doing, you realize in that moment that you are making some big changes. You realize in that moment that life is going to look different, it's going to feel different, it's going to sound different, all of those things, right? You start realizing that because that uncomfort is the change happening. It is you transforming and shedding the old you. It's like this. I always think about this analogy. One of my favorite analogies, because this is something that I actually study and do every year. And that is the life cycle of the butterfly. Have you ever studied the life cycle of the butterfly? You may have done it in kindergarten, maybe preschool. But as an early childhood educator, preschool teacher, I have been doing that study, that unit, that lesson, the life cycle of the butterfly for many, many years, probably pretty much all of my career, okay? And I'm going to do it again this year, like in the next couple weeks, so excited about that. But anyway, the life cycle of the butterfly is pretty, I think it's fascinating. Just life cycles in general, right? The life cycle of a human. But the life cycle of the butterfly starts as an egg and then changes into a caterpillar and then, goes on to eventually become a butterfly, right? And there are different steps along the way. But if you think of this life cycle and if you follow it a little bit, you will see that you start small. You start at the bottom, you start tiny, and then you wiggle your way out and you're birthed into this new world and you're trying to find your place, you're trying to find your way, and you're eating up all the knowledge and taking in all the experiences, and you're bumping into challenges as a little caterpillar, right? But you're growing because you continue to eat up all the knowledge and learn and ask questions and talk and just go through this whole journey. Right? And that's what we go through when we're creating our lives, when we're creating new versions of self. We are going along this journey where we're experiencing new things because all of the learning and the growth is in the action, is in the doing. So as you're doing, as you're moving around as this little caterpillar, you are growing because you're eating. And for us, it's like we're eating up the knowledge. We are learning new things. We are taking in the experiences that we're having, and it's allowing us to grow and grow and grow. And then, you have this quiet period where the caterpillar goes into a cocoon or the chrysalis, and it hardens and it gets quiet, and it's also inside still growing. And we even go through those periods when sometimes you're growing and then they say, you don't always have to tell everyone what you're doing. Just do it in silence. You can work in silence. You can your head is down. You are doing the work. You are in it. You are involved. You are busy. You are booked, busy doing the work, right? And then you evolve and you just come out into this beautiful butterfly, right? You just transform into this beautiful butterfly. And that is you transforming your life and creating this new version of yourself, which is something you've never seen before. And it's beautiful. But it took that entire life cycle to get to that point. It took the entire life cycle to become and transform into that beautiful butterfly. And so if you think about the life cycle of the butterfly and you compare it in some ways to your life, and you starting something new, you trying to complete a goal, recreating your life, creating a new version of yourself, if you look at it and compare it to what you're doing, you will realize and see that you are always on a journey of growth and evolution. Every single time you decide you want to create a new version of self, you are going to go on this journey. There's no way around it. You will have to go on a journey of growth and evolution. And it's one day at a time. It is the small steps that add up to something grand, which is evolving into that beautiful butterfly, right? But those small steps, the small steps that you take each day, help you to get to that next place, to that gorgeous butterfly. That is what happens. That is the journey you're on. And so I can answer it. I think we've already answered it. Is it too late to create a new version of yourself? Is it ever really too late to create a new version of yourself? No, I don't think so. Absolutely not. I don't think it's ever too late to create a new version of yourself. I think you can constantly keep recreating yourself and turning into new butterflies, right? With new patterns and new designs and a whole new outlook on life. You can keep doing that. And I think that is the beauty of life. That is something we may all take for granted, that you can do that. I went to an event, right? Let's talk about the first event. I went to a live podcast event, and I've never been to a live podcast event before this. But the other day, like literally last week, I went to this live podcast event. Someone had invited me, and I was really excited to go. And I took a friend with me, my neighbor, literally my neighbor. We went and we had so much fun. I was sitting in the middle of the Gramercy Theater in New York City. That's where the event was. And I was really surrounded by such positive energy. And that energy means so much. That energy fuels something inside of me. I don't know about you, but when I'm around people who are just positive, who exude positive energy, who are trying to better themselves, learn and become a better version of themselves each day, when I'm surrounded by that, it fuels something in me. And I also realized going to that event, and this event was for the She's So Lucky podcast live event, and which is the former Balanced Black Girl podcast. And the host is Les, and she had a special guest, Jazz Turner, for that evening. And just attending that event made me realize again and bring back to the forefront how important sharing your story is, how powerful it is to share your story and your experiences. So for Les, the host, and for her guests, sharing their experiences and sharing their stories and where they are currently in life, it was so powerful. It was powerful because it was speaking to and impacting everyone in that room in different ways. You just never know where people are. You never know where people are in their life. And for me, I'm in a space where I am recreating a new version of myself. I'm adding to who I already am. And because of that, I'm recreating a new version of myself. And I'm on that journey right now. I am on that growth journey. And so for me, so much of just hearing their experiences, and these are younger women, they're younger than me, definitely, but it doesn't even matter, because no matter what age you are, or what stage you are in your life, or how many decades you've experienced, right? It all still boils down to the same thing of when you want to create something new, when you want to create a new life or create a new version of self, you have to go on that journey of growth. And there are little things that you can do along the way that can help. And one of those things is sometimes just listening to others share about their experiences, their stories, and the things that they are doing, the things that are helping them. Because when you hear from people who have already done it or done what you want to do, that is very powerful, because they're going to give you gems. They're going to share what has worked. And why not listen to someone who has done what you're trying to do, take in their gems, and use it to your benefit? Why not? And so I think in that moment, at that event, listening to their experiences, listening to their stories was really fueling me and fueling where I am in my life. And I just thought it was so beautiful. So I'm going to share a little recap, short recap of me at that event that evening. So.
She's so lucky. Whatever you want to call it really wouldn't be what it is without your support. So thank you all for being here tonight.
Truly just expanding my community, but also diving more deep into my community and seeing what that looks like.
What did you think? What did you think?
It was amazing.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that quick recap of that event. Let's get to the notes. So I have a couple of things that I took away from. Well, I told you what I took away from it, but there are also some gems that I pulled out of there. We're putting on the glasses. I always have notes, right? I always have notes that I take. So anytime I'm talking to all of you, I'm always going to pull out my notes, or they're always going to be on the side, because look, I think it's great so I don't forget what I want to say. Because my brain sometimes I'm just like, what was that I wanted to say? And I'm not memorizing everything. So much of this is coming from the heart. Most of it is coming from the heart, right? And then my notes, and the rest is coming from the notes, right? The notes that I had to write down so I wouldn't forget some of those gems that I want to share with all of you. So a couple of gems that I pulled from that event and that really spoke to me was, number one, reframing your mindset in order to grow and get to that next level, whatever that next level is for you. Sometimes you have to reframe your mindset. You have to reframe your mindset and change your perspective in order to see a new way to achieve said goal, in order to see a new path along this journey, in order to see that you may have some bumps, you may run into some challenges, but there's always some learning and positive takeaways from every single thing you go through, whether you want to or not. Even the difficult things. Sometimes you don't want to go through the difficult things, but there's no way around it, right? So reframing, that was the wording that evening, but reframing your mindset is so important. That is so important. And I took that away. And something else I took away. Ooh, I love this one. I think Jazz said this, and this was, let's put that over there. And that was finding those little glimmers each day, because there are going to be some challenging days when you're on your journey of growth. You're going to run into obstacles, you're going to be tested, and you're going to just be like, oh my goodness, do I even want to do this? You're not going to want to move forward. You're not even going to want to get up some days. But when you have those days, it's important to adapt to a habit like this, which is each day looking for those little glimmers, which are, and I love that word, glimmers. I heard it before, but hearing it in this context was really great that evening. But looking for those little glimmers, like those little things that happen each day that make you feel good inside, make you just feel peaceful, feel happy, feel whatever. But those little things that happen each day, it can be as simple as, I made a really good cup of coffee today, okay? The coffee just tastes so good today. That is a glimmer. That is something little, but it helps you to just have like happiness in that moment. It helps you to accept the good things in that moment. It helps you to be grateful for that little thing, that good cup of coffee, right? So that's a glimmer. Or maybe someone called you and just checked on you and just said, hey, how are you doing today? That's a glimmer. That made you feel good. That brightened your day. That was like, oh my goodness, someone's out there thinking of me, right? That's a glimmer. That's a little thing that happened that day that made you feel good. That's important. Those are important. So looking for those little glimmers, accepting those little glimmers each day, that's important. I took that away from that event. That was something they talked about. And both women were talking about reframing, reinventing, and pivoting. Pivoting was another word. Pivoting into a new era. And for Les, the host, her podcast was formerly, and you may have heard some of her episodes, but her podcast was formerly called Balanced Black Girl, and then she pivoted and she recently rebranded her podcast to She's So Lucky. And I love the concept of the She's So Lucky branding and everything, and her honesty and her raw, honesty, sharing how she's feeling in this rebranding journey and era, right? In this growth period that she's going through. And so again, it was so powerful to be at that event because they were sharing their stories, their experiences, and how they are tackling their lives currently, the current versions of themselves, whether they are transforming and growing into new versions of self, or whether they are maintaining and just accepting and happy about their current version. I think it was just such a powerful event and really, really great. So kudos to She's So Lucky podcast and Les, the host. That was really great. And so thank you to those beautiful women, Les and Jazz, for sharing their stories. And I'm so happy I attended that event with my friend and we got so much out of it. Now, I also, maybe a month and a half ago, I don't remember, several weeks ago, I also went to another event several weeks ago. I can't remember. Was it in March? I don't know. But anyway, several weeks ago, I went to another event. So I'm going to share a little quick recap of me going to that event and how that went down. So check it out. Hang with me while I head to a book event in New York City. So since we're going from New Jersey to New York City, we're going to hop on the PATH train. And here it is. Check out those views. Gorgeous, right? It's literally a 15-minute, maybe 20-minute ride into the city. And we're here already. How quick? And now we walk to the bookstore. Okay. Now I'm walking down 12th Street, and because I'm between the buildings, I feel like it's not as windy. Anywho, headed to an event, a book event at Strand Bookstore for Will Packer. He has a new book. I'm pretty sure it's out. It's either in pre-order or it's already out, but I think it's out. Anywho, he's going to be interviewed by Sunny Holston, and yeah, this should be a great talk. Will Packer, if you don't know, is a movie producer, a show producer. I think he's the owner of a sports team now. So this should be really great, and I have a story about Will Packer as well. Pretty much an inspirational story, but let's go to the book event, check it out, and then I'll tell you more about my story later. Right, hang out with me. So my husband and I arrived at the famous Strand Bookstore, and here we go. We're going to head inside and head up to, I believe, the 4th floor. Yeah, that's usually where the events are. Here we are. And here's the little stage, and this is classic New York City style with the bookcase and all of the books, and it's just gorgeous.
So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Will and Sunny to the stage. Y'all look good. St. Pete in the house? Look at that St. Pete. Strong. Come on now. Happy birthday.
And to end the night, we had to get some pizza. New York City, greasy pizza. There's nothing like it in the world. Now, I had spoken to Will Packer. I have a story about Will Packer. He's really great. But back during the pandemic, when we were in the heart of the pandemic, and I created my preschool show during the pandemic. At the very beginning of the pandemic, I created my preschool show, really not even knowing I was creating a show, but I was showing up as an educator. I was showing up for my students, and I was showing up for children, preschool children around the world and their families, and teachers as well. I was showing up on YouTube. I created a classroom. I took my classroom and created my classroom on YouTube and turned my channel into my classroom. And then it turned into the show, Circle Time with Miss Monica. And when we were really in the height of the pandemic, I would say probably it was like a year in to my show, Will Packer actually reached out to me. And when he reached out to me, it was really just to applaud me and to say that I was doing great work and to also let me know to keep going and don't stop. Or maybe it was about 2 years. It was either 1 to 2 years into my show. And so it was something I needed to hear in that moment, because I was at a place where things were going and moving fast, and I was growing my channel and opportunities were coming, but I also wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing. Am I going in the right direction? I have an idea of what I want, right? I was questioning a lot of things in that moment because so much of it was so new to me. And I knew I had given so much of myself, but I wasn't giving myself credit for all that I had done. I wasn't giving myself credit for all that I have accomplished, and then how I had impacted children globally. I wasn't even giving myself credit for that. I think I was really in the mud. I was really in the mud, in the dirt. I was doing the action. I was putting forth action and doing things, but I wasn't clear on my goals, but I was definitely in the mud doing the work. Okay. I was doing the work and showing up for children globally. And the thing I was missing was just to know and acknowledge what I was doing and what I had accomplished already thus far. And so Will Packer reaching out to me at that time was, he probably didn't even know this, but it was what I needed in that moment. And one of the things he said, one of the takeaways was that, look, I see what you're doing. And if it's gotten to me, then it's getting to a lot of people, but never stop. Keep going, keep chasing your dreams. Do not stop, keep going. And that ignited a fire in me. I'll tell you, it ignited a fire in me to have that type of acknowledgement from someone who has accomplished as much as he has, and for him to just take a moment out of his busy schedule to just say, hey, I acknowledge what you're doing, I applaud you, congratulations, and keep going, don't stop. I needed to hear that, keep going, don't stop. And it helped me to stop in my tracks for a moment after speaking with him and saying, damn, you've done a lot. You've impacted a lot of children. So much so that it has gotten over to Will Packer, the Will Packers of the world, right? So you clearly are doing something right. But don't stop. Keep going. And that was, I needed that. That was some inspiration, a fire. That just lit a fire in me. And so thank you, Will Packer, for that. And I had never met him in person, but, we had that conversation, and then, fast forward a few years later, and he has this book come out, Who Better Than You? And he was going to be in New York City doing a book signing and talking about the book and doing like a fireside chat with Sunny from The View. And that fireside chat was so good. But when I saw that he was coming, I was like, oh, I have to show up. I have to go to that event, and I don't know what it's going to take, but I need to make sure I have a moment just to say thank you to him. And I did have that opportunity to say thank you. And that event, another event that just came at the right time. This book came at the right time. I'm halfway through this book. So I think after I finish it, maybe we'll talk about it, and I have another book I'm going to start right after this. But I want to say one of the biggest things I took away from that conversation that Will had with Sunny Hostin, was not stopping at the first, second, or even 100th no. Not stopping because something didn't go your way. Not stopping because the dream you had or the goals you have are not panning out exactly how you thought it was supposed to. Not stopping there, but continuously going. Keep going. Keep getting creative and trying a new way, trying a new path, trying a new door, right? To get in and to get to wherever it is you're trying to go. So dream big, yes, but have the arrogance, the healthy arrogance to keep going, to know that this is for you, whatever it is. And you can't stop, because why would you stop? Why give up? Keep going. And so in his book, he's sharing a lot of stories of just different things that happen along his path to get to where he is. So a lot of stories about films he made, people he's dealt with, challenges. He sees a lot of challenges. He talks about so many of the challenges or interruptions or disruptions that happen along your path in this journey to get to a specific goal. And so how he handled those challenges, what happened. And it's really like a story formatted book. And I think it's great. So each chapter is like a new story. And there's a new gem in there, several gems, not one, but several gems on what you can do to keep going, to dream big, and to accomplish and reach those goals that you have because you're dreaming big. So the conversation with him and Sunny was great, and he shared a few stories that evening, and they were really great. And it was what I needed in that moment. Once again, what I needed in that moment to remind me to keep going, and to remind me that it is not too late to create a new version of self. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little quick recap. I hope you enjoyed this entire conversation that we've had today on today's video. I hope any of the tips that I've shared, the stories, the experiences, the gems that I drop, I hope you pick some of them up. And I really do hope they're helpful and help you to get to that next level and to create that new version of self. Because as we have answered today, it is not too late. It is never too late, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. It's never too late to create a new version of self. And so don't stop. Keep going. Small steps each day to get to that beautiful butterfly that you are supposed to be. Never stop reaching for that goal. So again, I thank you all for being here, for taking time out of your schedules and your day to spend with me here on my channel, the Monica J Sutton Daily channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you like today's conversation. If you like today's video, then make sure you subscribe. Hit that notification button so you know every time I post. And please, please, give me a like. Give me a like. If you thought it was great, if you liked it, please give me a like, because that lets the algorithm know that it should share with everyone else. Keep sharing this video out. I appreciate you all, and I hope to see you on the next video. Have an amazing, amazing day, and I wish you the best of luck on your journey to a new version of you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.